How many of you have come across poor families and known them closely? I'm sure you would have come across poor people, and some of you might even know them closely. The people who were keeping the restrooms clean, the security guards, people who sweep and keep the campus clean. We would have all come across poor people, and some of us may know them closely. There is something wrong with the poor people that needs fixing. Or the poor people are lazy, living out of freebies from the taxpayers' money. Let's go on and see the real and complete picture. How many of you have known poor families closely? I'm sure you would all have come across poor people, and some of you might even know them closely. Like the security guards here, or the people who are sweeping the campus, the person who's keeping the restroom clean. We would have all come across poor people at some point of time, and some of us even know them closely. There is something wrong with the poor people that needs fixing. Or poor people are lazy, living out of freebies from the taxpayers' money. Let's go on and see and the real and complete picture. Yeah. I'm going again, okay? So, how many of you know the poor families closely? I'm sure we would all come across poor people at some point of time in our life, like the people sweeping this campus, person keeping the restroom clean, or the security guards guarding this campus. There is something wrong with the poor people that needs fixing. Or poor people are lazy, living out of freebies from the taxpayers' money. Now, this is the popular perception. And let's go on and see the real and complete picture. I was studying my undergraduation in a college, Loyola College, Chennai, and I happened to see the poor people closely. The outer compound of our college, the outer side, had tiny tents, poor families living all around the compound of the college. I had a friend whose parents had left the villages and come to Chennai in search of dignity, unable to bear the social discrimination and economic oppression in the villages, which is prevalent even now. Now, these things left a profound impact on me. Now, a few years later, in 1995, my undergraduation was 1988 to 1991 in Loyola College. In 1995, one of my friends presented me with a book called The Price of a Dream, written by David Bronstein. The book was a story about the Grameen Bank of Bangladesh, about Professor Muhammad Yunus, who was an economic professor who went on and experimented. Right way back in 1976, he experimented and evolved a system of microcredit that would deliver credit to the poor people. Grameen banks with the poor people in Bangladesh. Now, this story, this book created interest, and it was very inspiring for us. We wanted to do, some of us friends, we wanted to do this here. So we traveled to see how Grameen Bank functioned, their methods, their systems. We studied all of them. And when we came back, we thought we should understand our region better. So we traveled around, we surveyed these districts, Coimbatore, Erode, and the Nilgiris, and finally zeroed in on one place called Irumbarai, which is near Puliyambatti in Coimbatore. And in Irumbarai, we were also curious to understand what are the interest rates prevailing here. So we went to a shandy in Irumbarai, a weekly shandy, if you know them. So there were money lenders who were operating there. So one example I will quote you. There was a person who was lending 900 rupees on that Thursday evening. And next week he will come back to collect 1,000 rupees. That's 100 rupee interest per week. which is 10% per week. Even without compounding, this will translate into 520%. Okay, and you can do your math. Just compound it on a weekly basis for the 52 weeks in a year. It translates into a whopping 12,800 percentage of interest in annual interest in a year. Now look at the comparison. Can you come back? Yeah, this is the prevailing interest rates in India. Look at the organized sector. When you deposit money in bank, you get 6 to 8%. Home loans are 7 to 9, and business loans and NBFCs. Even within the organized sector, the microfinance loans are expensive. And look at the unorganized sector. We have done many studies. We have seen a lot of examples. I just quoted one of them. And this is the range at which the exploitation is happening. Okay, and I'll also quote you. The lady who borrowed that 900 rupees in a week attended 4 or 5 shandies as trader in that particular week, and she made her living. Even after paying that 100 rupees, she would take an earning of 1,000 rupees in a week. So there was somebody servicing her. It's just that we need a better alternative. So next slide. So what is poverty? Poverty is really it's not the creation of the poor. It's the policies and framework and systems that has created poverty. And poverty has a huge psychological impact on people. It gives continuous and chronic stress, which leads to anxiety and depression. It is a lot psychological. And that is also not a single one-time event. It is continuous. And then this is a self-inflicting, perpetuating phenomenon. Throughout their lives, they are poor and they are unable to apply their mind on long-term orientation. They're worried about their immediate problem. All of us in this hall here, at some point of time in our life, we would have come across difficult situations. Some places where we missed our lunch and then we are hungry, or there is a health crisis in the family. Just imagine those situations. Go back. I know it's difficult. It's really difficult to empathize. But if you really apply your mind and think, we would have only been worried about our immediate problem. We would not have been able to focus on long-term goals or long-term orientation. All that we were worried about, I'm hungry, where do I find the next hotel or where do I find the food? Imagine a situation that is continuous day in, day out for people. It affects them psychologically. And it is a trap. And this trap is what they call is a cycle of poverty. It continues for generations and generations. It doesn't end there. Families, people, and communities are not able to escape from this reality. The social, the psychological, the economic barriers, it does not allow people to escape from this and then, stabilize economically. So this is the problem. We need a solution. Next slide, please. So these are some of the popular narratives when it comes to poverty or reasons for that. People are lazy, there is alcoholism, it's due to poor money management, or there is a personality defect, or lack of knowledge, discipline, intelligence, skill. Is it any of these? These are the popular narratives. Some of these might be true sometimes. Not that all of these are completely false. Yes, there are exceptions. Some of these might be true. But let's go on and see the full picture. And when we have the complete understanding, the full understanding and the real understanding, we will let go of these false narratives and look at things in a more with more concern. Okay, next. So the solution we are looking for is with the people themselves. So what microcredit movement went on to teach? The self-help group movement in India is something Indian government experimented way back in 1992, and by 1994 we had the Reserve Bank guidelines for self-help groups. So what is this solution? So the solution is forming how microcredit works. This entire microcredit movement is you form people into social groups, into peer groups, and and give them access to credit. These are two things: form peer groups and then give access to credit. Or remove the barrier for access to credit. Next slide, please. So we, after a pilot study, and in Irumbarai is where we started, because Irumbarai was backward, it was dry. So our first branch was in Irumbarai. We did pilot project in 1996, and by 1998 we registered a public charitable trust in Coimbatore, and Irumbarai was our first branch where we started operations. So how does this work? How does microcredit or self-help group work? We form people into peer groups of 10 to 15 people. 10 to 15 people form a group who have trust on each other. They form a group. It's a very difficult process in the beginning. In 1960s, 96, nobody understood why should we form a group. But now it is all well-oiled, and it is quite popular, this method. So the groups are formed, and then within the group, they meet on a weekly basis. They save on a weekly basis. So a habit of thrift is inculcated in them. So there is a weekly meeting and weekly savings. After the group matures over a period of time, 3 to 6 months, we recommend them for bank linkage. I mean, they would have already opened a bank account. In our situation, we are calling it Gramasudar. Microcredit Foundation is English and people don't, so they could relate better. So all our groups are named prefix Gramachudar and something. Okay, so Gramachudar groups open a bank account, they save on a weekly basis, and after 3 to 6 months, they access bank credit. And then that credit is given to the group, not to the individual of the group. It is given to the group. That's the key. And the group, in turn, from their savings, from the bank credit as source, they lend among themselves. The loan sanctioning process happens unanimously within the group. So there is a group that is monitoring, that is helping, everything. The peer group is everything for that handling of the money. So this happens, and we bank with the nationalized banks, and we work on a model called credit linkage model. We prepare people for banking and help them, and they are linked directly to the bank. So bank gives the credit. And we have over 10,000 members now. 90% of them are women, and by 2025, our cumulative credit from the bank has crossed 200 crore rupees. Next. So I explained to you how this works, and this is different from the microfinance institutions and small banks. They are completely different. They work directly with the people, and there is no peer group formation there. Okay. Now I'll tell you the key to the success of this model. Our model is the peer support the people get. Okay, so there are thousands of examples that we have seen in the last 30 years. And I'll show you one example which will go on to show, how this happens. Okay, in one of the example, in many cases, the husband would be drunk, and with 90% women, and he'll be abusing within the wife, and all the group members will go and question them. We have seen over a period of time in the Gramasudar groups where we operate, the respect women get is far different from where there are no groups. So the abuse is minimum, I would say. Glaringly, I would say even nil. Our employees will say it is nil. It is to that extent the peer support group is able to contribute to the peer members. Now I'll tell you two examples, and she is Nirmala and she is Ramalakshmi. Okay, Nirmala started tapping, the threading of the, a job work factory basically. 4-5 years back, Nirmala couldn't run the business. She just started. Every business has a learning curve, we all know. So initial phases, she couldn't run it, and she wanted to close down. She was not able to repay her weekly loan. So, but all the other 9 members in a group, who are a group of 10, they did not allow her. They encouraged her. They said, "You're very good at it. It's a matter of time. We will do the repayment on your behalf. Don't worry. It's small money. We'll all pull in together and we will repay." and encouraged her. In about for 20 weeks, they had to support her like that. And after that, she picked up. Now, Nirmala employs 5 people. She gives job. This is her factory. There's somebody working there. She employs 5 people. We have thousands of entrepreneurs like this. From, Coimbatore, people who know Coimbatore, from Araspuram to Marudamalai, that road, on the roadside, every third entrepreneur is our member. So this is Ramalakshmi. And when she was in trouble, when Nirmala was in trouble, Ramalakshmi was one of the peer members who was supporting her and encouraging her. During COVID time, Ramalakshmi was a household worker. She would do household work. She was home, working. During COVID time, she didn't have work. People didn't want others to come into their houses, so she didn't have work. So Nirmala encouraged her to learn driving. And during COVID time, and with the support of the peer group, she bought an auto rickshaw. After a few years, she now bought a car last year. And she does school trips morning and evening, parks her car, and during the daytime, she does the auto rickshaw. This is not one case. Thousands of them, not even hundreds, thousands of such examples are there. So next slide, please. So what this went on to prove was, after starting Microcredit Foundation, we thought our team was well educated. So we thought we are very intelligent, we are very responsible. And then we formulated a lot of systems and a lot of control measures to ensure that the loans are utilized responsibly by the people. We would have charts showing how the loans were utilized, and we will control them basically, on everything they do. And later, slowly, we learned that people are wiser, people are intelligent, people are very responsible, and they are better in deciding how they leverage their access to credit. All that we were trying to do is actually done by the peer group. We don't have to do anything. We just sit and watch. And that peer group has been working wonderfully well till today. And we are not alone. There are organizations like us, thousands of them in India, all over the world. So this microcredit movement has this peer support group is the real spirit and soul of microcredit. It's not the money itself. It's not the loan itself. It's not the credit itself. It's this peer support that is the soul of microcredit movement. And over a period, they would support. They discuss families, they discuss education, they discuss finance, they discuss everything, all their problems, and they solve all of them. And they behave sometimes as business incubators, as venture capitalists, as motivators, as trainers. All that role is done by the peer group. So after many years of experience, we learned one thing. The real value microcredit delivers is psychological. This is where we have to understand the false narratives. The problem is not the money itself, it's the anxiety, it is the stress. So that is addressed by the peer group. So there is peer support, there is, the feeling that you are empowered, there is hope. So all this psychological well-being, what it does is it unleashes the confidence in the people, the talent in people, their productivity, everything is unleashed. And then what we see is these are some of the events in our organization. And next slide, please. And I said people into different businesses, and these are our entrepreneurs. There are many of them. I'm just showing a few of them. So when the psychological well-being is ensured, look how people are unleashing their talent and productivity, and they're taking care of themselves. Next slide, please. And these are two of them, people I really admire, and what they said. Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it is an act of justice. And Professor Muhammad Yunus said, alleviation of poverty is more a question of removing barriers than doing any special favor for the poor. Now, for us to learn and discuss ideas like this. There are people, there is a security guard who's guarding the campus and regulating traffic. There is somebody keeping the restroom clean and the whole campus clean. There are people working for us so that we are able to discuss ideas, we are able to learn. Let us learn for them as well. Let us discuss ideas to make their life better. Thank you.